The Ghost Train by Sidney J. Bounds. Billy Trent ran down the lane towards the common, sandy hair poking like straws from under his school cap, eyes gleaming with excitement. The common blazed with coloured lights, postbox red and dandelion yellow and neon blue. The evening air throbbed with the sound of fairground music, and his pulse beat in rhythm. He reached the entrance and passed beneath a banner that read, "Biggest travelling fair in Britain." A jolly, red-faced man dressed as a clown called to him.
"On your own, son. Enjoy all the fun of the fair."
Billy nodded eagerly, too excited to speak, for the fair only came once a year, and he'd saved hard for the occasion. Almost £1's worth of change clutched tight in his pocket, he darted between the coconut shy and a hamburger stand, chaeroplanes and swing boats. He paused, fascinated, in front of the merry-go-round, with its pairs of magnificent horses going round and round and up and down. He stared up in awe at the big Ferris wheel revolving in the sky, trying to make up his mind which to try first. There were dodgem cars and a snaky switchback ride. Music played, fireworks exploded in cascading showers of light. The smell of candy floss tempted him. For Billy, it was the best night of the year, until... In a shadowy empty space behind the fortune teller's tent, he found himself between two youths dressed in jeans and leather jackets studded with stars. The big one with the scarred face gripped Billy's arm. "Hi, kid. We'll give you a break. You can pal up with us tonight. It's more fun sharing things. I'm Ed, and my mate here answers to Higgy." Higgy, fat and pimply, sniggered in a way that gave Billy gooseflesh. "Hi, pal. Glad to meet you. Ed and me's broke, and that ain't much fun, so I hope you've got plenty of cash. We're all pals together, see?" Billy shook his head, mute. He had a sinking feeling in his stomach, and his hand tightened round the coins in his pocket as he stared up at the two older boys. He decided he didn't like either of them. Ed's big hand tightened on his arm till it throbbed with pain. "Now come on, share the loot. Reckon we'll all go on the dodgems first, okay?" Billy gasped desperately. "You're hurting me." "All right, I'll pay for you to have one ride if you promise to leave me alone after that." Big Ed laughed meanly. "That's no way for a pal to talk. Share everything. That's our motto, ain't it, Higgy?" "You bet. Now then, kid, hand it over." As Billy slowly brought his hand from his pocket, Ed relaxed a fraction, grinning at Higgy. Instantly, Billy twisted like an eel, slipped from Ed's grasp, and ran off as hard as he could go.
"Little perisher,"
Ed shouted angrily.
"just wait till I get my hands on him. I'll break his flaming neck."
With Higgy at his heels, he gave chase. Billy pushed his way into the fairground crowd, panting, looking for someone, anyone he knew. But they were all strangers, intent on enjoying themselves and oblivious to his trouble. The music blared loudly and bright-coloured lights flashed. Billy glanced back. The two youths were still after him, and Ed's scarred face looked savage. He ran behind a wooden hoarding and found himself trapped between the wall of death and the switchback ride. It was dark, and he could see no way out. The roar of motorcycle engines was deafening. Even if he shouted, no one would hear. He hunted for somewhere to hide as Ed and Higgy turned the corner and spotted him. Dim blue lights spelled out, "Ghost Train." Billy could just make out the shape of a miniature steam engine with 6 open carriages in the gloom. The carriages were empty. There seemed to be no one about, not even at the pay desk. As the train began to move towards the dark mouth of the entrance tunnel, Billy ran forward and sprang into the carriage nearest the engine. He crouched low, but
There he is!
Ed shouted, pointing. Higgy right behind him, he put on a spurt, and they reached the train in time to scramble aboard the last carriage. The ghost train gathered speed as it rumbled into the tunnel. In the darkness, Billy gulped as he looked up to see the luminous skeleton figure of the engine driver grinning back at him. But he was too scared of his pursuers to be really frightened. Then Ed and Higgy started to climb over the empty carriages towards him. The track wound and the carriages swayed and rattled. Cobwebs brushed Billy's face. An eerie green glow illuminated the tunnel and a tombstone beside the track. The stone lifted, and a cowled figure rose with a dreadful wail. It was night black again, and a woman's scream echoed. In a phosphorescent glow, a headless phantom stalked towards the engine, vanished. Chains clanked, and something evil-smelling dripped from the roof. A bat thing swooped, hissing. The dark came again. Then a lightning flash revealed a fanged monster. The train rattled on through the blackness. A red glow from a fire showed 3 witches stooped over a cauldron. As the train passed, the nearest lifted her death's head and cackled with laughter. Suddenly, Billy was aware that the 2 bullies were no longer interested in him. The skeleton driver of the ghost train had left his engine and was moving steadily back along the carriages towards them. Ed's face had lost its savage look. Higgy's eyes no longer gleamed with malice. As a bony arm extended, skeletal finger pointing, they backed away. Empty eye sockets stared sightlessly at them. Jaws gaped in a toothless snarl. A hollow voice intoned, "Beware!" And, scared stiff, Ed and Higgy scrambled back to the last carriage. The ride ended, and Billy got away smartly. As he mingled with the crowd, he saw Ed and Higgy, their faces white as chalk, hurrying towards the exit. They'd had enough. Billy looked again for the ghost train, but he could not find it now. Left alone, he enjoyed all the fun of the fair. He went on one ride after another until he spent his money. He was very happy as he turned to go home. On his way out, the clown called to him again.
"What did you like best, son?"
Billy Trent paused and thought. "The ghost train," he said. The clown's jolly red face paled.
"But there's no ghost train now. Used to be one with old Tom driving, dressed all in black with a skeleton painted on. And one day a youngster fell off the train, and Tom dived after him. Killed he was, saving the lad. After the accident, the boss scrapped it. So you must have dreamt that."
But Billy was quite sure he hadn't.